Welcome everyone to the University of Alabama at Birmingham Facilities Division Construction Connection Networking event. My name is Demetria Scott, Manager, UAB Department of Small Business Inclusion. I will serve as your announcer this afternoon. To ensure this seminar flows smoothly and your attendance is an enjoyable experience, please adhere to the following Zoom etiquette protocols. This seminar is being recorded. Maintain your devices on mute. The program book is in the chat box. Please take a few minutes now and download the link. Respond with questions or comments and or suggestions in the chat box. We will be monitoring the chat box. However, just in case we do not readily provide an answer to your question, rest assured an answer will be forthcoming by email to all registered attendees. If you are interested in meeting with a company representative on this Zoom call, please send a direct message to them. Next, we will email this presentation PowerPoint to all registered attendees. So if you do not want to take notes, you do not have to. You will receive a copy of this email, of this PowerPoint presentation. If you did not register and would like to receive a copy of this presentation, you can contact T. Ellis, it's TELLIS 22 at uab.edu. At this time, on behalf of our Chief Facilities Officer, Greg Parsons, who is not with us right now, I would like to present to some and introduce to others Denton Lunsford, the Assistant Vice President of Planning, Design, and Construction. Denton.
Thank you, Demetria, and welcome everyone. Again, my name is Denton Lunsford, and I'm excited to be here today. Welcome to our 10th annual Construction Connection Networking event. If your purpose for joining us this afternoon was to meet your peers on Zoom, then you've come to the right place. If your purpose for coming here today is to reacquaint with peers on Zoom, you're also in the right place. And if your purpose for coming here today is to meet new contacts on Zoom, then you're also in the right place. So let's connect, communicate, and collaborate to make business opportunities happen. We have a very exciting program planned today. We have presentations from PD&C directors, that's Planning, Design, and Construction directors, UAB Medicine, and 2 featured speakers. So please listen, learn, ask questions, and provide us your feedback at the end of this event. But know that you are welcomed here today. Tony Ellis is a 13-year veteran with UAB. He transferred to the Department of Small Business Inclusion as a supplier diversity specialist on February 1st of this year. And we're glad to have him. He is largely responsible for our small public works projects, tracking, and reporting. So everyone, please welcome Tony Ellis. Thank you.
Thank you, Denton, for that introduction. I will serve as your facilitator for today's event. Now, this is a special gathering consisting of business owners, business representatives, UAB administrators, and many other special guests. Again, thank you for joining us. We promise to move the program along swiftly. Tamika Logan Reynolds is a project manager in the Department of Small Business Inclusion. She will now speak on our purpose and objectives for this event.
Good afternoon, everyone. This networking event is designed to get participants introduced, acquainted, and reacquainted. Our goals for today's session are threefold. They are to communicate, to connect, and to collaborate. We feel that networking is all about making important business connections before you actually need them. Our objectives for today are to increase participation of local, small, and diverse suppliers for the purpose of endurance, education, and economic vitality in our community and our city. It is also to overcome barriers that local, small, and diverse construction-related businesses may encounter in doing business with UAB, the PD&C department, medicine facilities, or capital projects division. 3, is to heighten awareness and commitment by encouraging local, small, and diverse construction-related businesses to actively participate in our projects. 4, and to develop ways, methods, and opportunities for these local, small, and diverse construction businesses to succeed in actually doing business with UAB, UAB Medicine, UAB Facilities, and our Capital Projects Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamika. Now, as we go through the presentations, we encourage you to ask your questions in the chat. Now, let's talk about how to do business with UAB. The first step is to engage university purchasing. Each and every supplier must have a supplier number. That is the only way and method you are paid for services rendered to the university. Ron Collins is the Executive Director for Financial Affairs and Procurement. Thank you, Ron, for being with us on today. So Ron Collins will come at this time.
Starting again, I was on mute. My apologies. Thank you, Tony. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So a quick overview, as Tony mentioned, all vendors that are doing business with UAB or that intend to do business with UAB must be registered in the UAB iSupplier vendor portal. This is a relatively new process. We've been utilizing it for about 2 years now, but it ensures that we indeed have the necessary documents, not only the tax documentation, but a vendor disclosure statement, which is basically a conflict of interest statement from all vendors on file before proceeding. So if you would like to learn more about how to do business with UAB, the website is there. And as Ms. Scott indicated, a copy of this deck will be shared. So next page, please. So again, here are some additional details about that vendor portal. As indicated, we ask that all UAB vendors register through the iSupplier portal. There are some required documents that are needed in order to complete that registration, but they are pretty straightforward. The tax forms, the vendor disclosure statement, as I mentioned. Your business classification and business interest are both also very simple documents, but are important as well to ensure that if UAB issues a bid for asphalt paving, that we know who is in that space and can extend an invitation to you. So next slide, please. Our electronic bid bulletin board is maintained on the Financial Affairs webpage. It does include both UAB campus and UAB hospital solicitations under Title 41. Note, if you will, please note the comment here that the electronic bulletin bid bulletin board does not include facilities related solicitations. They have their own schedule. And again, this is a difference between what are referred to as Title 39 projects and Title 41 purchasing, part of the bid law. Next page, please. Methods of payment. UAB utilizes multiple forms of payment, but prefer credit cards. We can and have historically issued payment via check, ACH, and usually wire transfers are reserved for our international vendors to ensure that they receive the funds. So, but again, if you accept a credit card or don't now, but consider it, it is a preferred method of payment used by UAB. I think that might be the last page, but yes, if there are any questions, please drop them in the chat. And again, if we don't, if there are no questions right now, but you think of something later, please let us know and we'll get back to you. Thank you for your time.
All right, thanks so much, Ron.
Thank you.
Now, at this time, I'll provide to you a general overview on our small public works process. Small public work is an extension of UAB Planning, Design, and Construction Department. Small public work focus is on enhancing the process and systems related to doing business with local, small, and diverse businesses and scheduling small projects that are $50,000 or less under Alabama Code Title 39. The process starts with the work order from a department end user. The order is assigned to a project director in either team U, A, B, or C. The project manager then emails me for a list of potential qualified and verifiable bidders, ensuring opportunities for a broad variety of suppliers. These are generally quick projects with a very fast turnaround timeline. The small public work process is as follows. My role includes, but is not limited to, the following: manage the small public works vendor database, review bid packages before they are released, solicit bidders, and communicate information during the bid phase by way of the SPW Dropbox. Bid package administration. I'll receive, review, document, and communicate bid responses to the project manager. Lastly, I track and report metrics to PD&C. Now, let's look at access to opportunities and the job categories that we seek out for in small public work projects. Now, I'm not going to read the list, but here you'll find many areas for opportunities within various trades. Now, please ask any questions in the chat box. Next slide. Now, Denton Lunsford will introduce PD&C key contacts. Please use your reaction button and give him a round of applause. So if you would come forth, Denton.
Thanks, Tony. I sometimes have trouble finding my mute button. So Lamar Ziderhook is director of Team A. He'll be first. Well, let me go ahead and read everybody on here. So our key contacts: Melissa Gilkey is our administrative supervisor. You see her email address there. She works closely with me and also manages and works with a team of project coordinators. Our planning, design, and construction department is divided into 4 major project teams: teams U, A, B, and C. The team U director position is vacant, but team A director is Lamar Ziderhook. You'll hear from him shortly. Susan Thompson is the director of team B. Mark LaRue is the director of team C. Kevin Jacobs is our senior real estate officer and conducts all of our real estate transactions for the university. Laura Brand is manager of data, documents, and reporting. Lance Higgins is our director of administration and our board of trustees liaison. And Demetria Scott, as you know, manager small business inclusion. And now I believe Lamar Ziderhook come.
Thank you, Denton. My name is Lamar Ziderhook. I am the director for Team A in Planning, Design, and Construction. And our team caters to the clients that are the health-related schools. You're looking at a list of them right now. So we have medicine, which always has a lot of design and construction going on. Nursing has a lot, dentistry, optometry, health professions. We also deal with animal resource programs and School of Public Health. information technology also is in there as well with the computer guys that we just finished a project up with them. A lot of the potential projects that we have coming, we have one large project right now that is called the Genomics Project. It is in the design stages right now, and it's a large project to the tune of about $88 million. And that project is bidding in December. So for all of you that are in the subcontractor arena, the larger general contractors will be obviously looking for assistance with this project, which is bidding in December, and that will be going on for the next 3 years. I mentioned that large project because it has generated a lot of renovation projects scattered across the campus to the tune of about 50 projects that are having to happen before hopefully the end of the year or through the first part of next year. And these renovations, dollar-wise, can range anywhere from $15,000 to $500,000 and on up. And most of them are usually laboratory renovations, equipment room renovations, and office renovations. So there's a lot of heavy electrical and mechanical work that's taking place with these renovations for these laboratories and all of the equipment that's required in them. We also have a lot going on with School of Dentistry right now. They have some office renovations that are also underneath the umbrella of the Genomics Project. But they also have some clinical and some sterilization units that are in the board package size projects, which are to the tune of about $8 to $9 million. So that's up and coming. That will have the larger general contractors looking for assistance as well. And then you have the health professions. They have laboratories and classrooms that have to be renovated as well. So we always have work with them. And then we have a large project with Animal Resources Program right now that's tied in with School of Medicine. And there's a lot of laboratory work, animal holding renovations going on. And that project, there's a large project that just bid that's about to start construction with Stone Construction, which they will need some assistance with making that project take place. So that is a highlight of what our team has going on right now. And there's just a lot of work that will be happening over the next year to 2 to 3 years. So I hope that we can get a lot of participation. Thank you.
And that looks like that's me next. Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Thompson, Director in Team B. And very much like Lamar's group, he has the health-related professions clients, and we have the other side of campus. So if you go to the next slide. So athletics, anything to do with the provost office, what we call Schedule 25 classrooms, College of Arts and Sciences, School of Business, student services. We do a lot of projects with dining, the residence halls, student support spaces, School of Engineering, Education, the graduate school, Campus Rec falls under student services. We help those folks. We do have a new daycare that's in design, and then we also support our ROTC. So I've only listed the 3 projects that we have bidding within the next year. So we have a landscape project, everything landscape folks out there, repairs to the west side of Campus Rec will bid later this fall. And then the Child Development Center, we're doing a new building that will bid next summer, as well as a student organization facility next summer. So the other things we have in the works, though, a lot of planning, feasibility for almost every school. Athletics, there's working on a master plan. They have a lot of work over the next 5 years. School of Engineering, we're looking at a new facility that'll be part of our science and engineering complex. Master planning for psychology to determine what their needs are, whether it's a renovation or a new facility. The dining folks are doing a campus master plan for dining across campus. We're always doing the same for the residence hall. So we're in a little bit of a lull as far as construction on our team right now, but we have a lot of work in the works. So the next 5 years, we'll really be ramping up on the undergraduate side of campus as far as design and construction.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark LaRue, and I'm the director of Team C. We have we do work all over campus and cross into the areas that with Susan's group and with Lamar's group. But our biggest client, of course, is the facility management, the facility operation group. And most of our work is in the deferred maintenance area. So if you are a mechanical, electrical contractor, if you do small renovations, come see me. That's where most of our work is in the kind of behind the scenes type stuff. We get involved with ADA, of course. We're constantly working on the standards and specifications, and we coordinate the drawing reviews for the other teams. So coming up next, we have a fairly decent sized project with the Bochelle building. We're going to be replacing the roof there. And then over the next year and a half, we're going to have various other roofing projects. I mentioned we do work for facility management. So inside of our central utility plants, we have 2 or 3 projects where we're going to be replacing the variable frequency drives. Those are currently in design. And we also have some chill water pump replacements that's coming up pretty soon. And we are in design on that. We also do various size projects with the miscellaneous chill water meters. We're putting those and retrofitting those around campus. Got some structural work going on in central utility plant with some lifting devices. We have a project with our central utility loop of remote valve actuators and control of our valves that we have in our large loop system. And as I mentioned before, we do miscellaneous ADA projects around campus. So various sizes, lots of different opportunities, and certainly hope that people have some interest in what we have. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Denton, Lamar, Susan, and Mark. Now, if you do have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat box. Now, at this time, I will present to some and introduce to others, Mr. Robert Sharp. Robert is the Senior Director of Facilities Capital Projects at UAB. Robert will introduce UAB Medicine Facilities key contact information. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is our organization at the hospital and UAB Medicine side of the campus. Arpan Limdi is the Chief Facilities Officer for UAB Medicine. As he indicated, I'm Robert Sharp. I'm the Senior Director of Construction. Jay Van Martin is the AVP for facilities, and he's also in charge of non-capital projects. Here with us today also is Jared Sparks, who's Director of Capital Construction Projects, and Stan Cordray, who is Director of Facility Services for UAB Medicine. Mark McKay is also part of the non-capital project team. The hospital in UAB Medicine is organized somewhat differently than the facilities group in that we're divided into a capital projects, which is over $100,000, and non-capital projects, which is under $100,000. I have listed some representative projects for both for particularly the capital projects groups. We do everything that the facilities group does, only just within the hospital and within the Health Services Foundation organization. So we do nursing unit renovations, office renovations, equipment replacement. These are some of the representative projects that we have. Sterilizer replacement, which is just an equipment replacement. POB renovation for offices. North Tower air handling unit replacement, that's an infrastructure replacement. P5 angio equipment, that is medical equipment replacement. Highland 6 North is a nursing unit renovation. GSB is an office, 5th floor is an office renovation. And then we have the inpatient rehab facility, which is a very large project similar to the genomics project. It will be a $100 million new inpatient rehab building located on campus. So we expect to bid that just after the first of the year. So there'll be quite a few large contractors that will be bidding that, and they'll be looking for services from all of the vendors and suppliers and subcontractors that you guys represent. Then on the non-capital side, we have, those are all work orders and things that are less than $100,000, small office renovations, additions of power, data, replacement of doors, flooring, those kinds of things. So smaller, similar to the small public works on the facility side of the campus, but just under $1,000 instead of under $50,000. Now, all of our capital projects will be advertised in the Birmingham News. So we do not have a website for our bid calendars, but all of our projects are advertised in the Birmingham News. So keep an eye out for those. We do all of our management in-house. I have 5 project managers that work for me. So we manage all of our projects for both the hospital and then some of the projects for the Health Services Foundation. If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat.
All right, thanks. Now, at this time, Melanie Ratliff, who's the Sustainability Project Manager of PD&C, will present and introduce our featured speakers. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you, Tony. Again, my name is Melody Ratliff, and I'm so pleased to be introducing our speakers today. All successful entrepreneurs share a common trait, perseverance. Our 2 featured speakers this afternoon are first cousins. They will discuss the hurdles of ownership and how to build a brighter future. Learn how the family-owned business overcame overwhelming obstacles and the powerful lessons they learned along the way. They will share with you how you can transform challenges into opportunities. Our first speaker this afternoon started working in the construction industry at an early age. She spent her summers performing field layout work, setting grade stakes, and estimating small projects in the family business. This led her to pursue a degree from the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa in civil engineering. She continued her educational pursuits at UA and UAH in procurement and contract law. She is a veteran with more than 39 years of experience in the construction industry. She is the niece of Thornton Stanley Sr., the founder of Stanley Landscaping and Construction Company. She serves as the Vice President of Stanley Construction, managing contracts and estimates. She is the former National Association of Women in Construction Instructor and Rookie of the Year. Besides construction, she ministers to youth and families through Christian education and the arts, She holds a Master of Religion degree in Leadership and Discipleship. So please use your hand clap reaction button and welcome Wanda Stanley Rice. Our next speaker is the owner and managing consultant for Key Success Consulting, which provides planning, public affairs, and fund development services for nonprofit agencies, as well as financial management for small businesses. Karen Stanley is Vice President of Finance and Marketing at Stanley Landscaping and Construction Company in Huntsville, a family-owned excavating and paving contractor, which has operated in North Alabama since 1961. In the family business, Karen provides financial analysis, community affairs, and marketing for the company, which employs 50 people. She earned an MBA from Harvard University School of Business, a master's degree in chemical engineering, and a bachelor's degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from Vanderbilt University. Prior to returning to the family business in 1995, she worked for Cabot Plastics in Brussels, Belgium, Monsanto Chemicals Company in St. Louis, American Express Company in New York, and Rom and Haas Chemicals in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Again, please use your hand clap reaction button and welcome Karen Stanley. So Wanda and Karen, I turn the session over to the two of you and thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted to join you and share a bit of Stanley Construction's family legacy. In a nutshell, so to speak, the family business has a long history. The Stanley family, that is, has a long history of entrepreneurialism, from our grandfather, who we will further detail in our presentation, to my father, Henry Stanley, who was a self-trained carpenter and a residential home builder and a farmer, to his younger brother, my uncle, who's Karen's dad, Thornton Stanley Sr., the founder, owner, and president of Stanley Landscaping and Construction, also known as Stanley Construction. The company originated from the skill and wisdom of my uncle and a borrowed truck and tractor from my dad. Many family members and family friends have graced Stanley Construction through the years and have moved on to begin their own businesses from the leadership and skill afforded them under the tutelage of Uncle Sonny, as he is affectionately known in the family. I too started my own small business, but I have the honor of being the family member with employment longevity at the company, 39 years to date. It has been a blessing and an honor. I started in the field as a layout engineer's assistant, pounding stakes and setting up the survey equipment, and then moved on into the office as an estimator, chief procurement manager, project manager, office manager. Just note that in a family business, job titles are nice, but work doesn't care who get it done. So as long as it's properly done and profitable. Now I have a title of Vice President of Contracts and Estimates, still performing the same inside task. So thank you for the introduction. And I'm going to hand it over right now to my cousin Karen, who's going to present our presentation for today. Karen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to see such a great turnout on this virtual 10th, I believe they said 10th annual conference. We want to thank Ms. Demetria Scott for her invitation, but I also would call it her relentless pursuit to help us decide to make this presentation today, because anybody who's in construction knows that this is our busy time of year and we are spread thin, but we are always happy to share with people. We're so proud of the legacy of our family, of Wanda's dad, of my dad, of our grandfather. We should also mention, we also have at this time, our executive vice president of the company is my brother, Thornton Stanley Jr. My younger brother, Algernon Stanley, is our vice president of project management. They are both engineers with master's degrees. So I guess the first thing I would say is that education is critical. Even in a family business, a lot of times people think, well, you just got that job because you're family. Maybe that gave you an edge, but definitely in the Stanley family, we believe in being trained to do what you do. So we want to start our next slide. We want to start our presentation by, again, thanking you all for having us here. We've entitled the presentation, I like to put this other word in front of it, winning against the odds and building for a brighter future at Stanley Construction, because certainly you'll see as we get into the presentation, there have been barriers, as there always are for any business. In fact, most businesses try to turn profitable within the 2 to 4 year time frame. And most businesses don't make it to the second generation. But we are so excited. It makes me so proud when I see my nephews on those excavators and running those 6x trucks. So we are into the third generation. At this time, my nephews are in college, and so they come back to summer jobs at Stanley Construction. So we are on our way to the third generation, but very solidly the second generation is managing the company. My dad is retired and he manages from his armchair at home. And he does require that I bring him the financial statements on some sort of schedule. So he is still concerned, and certainly the lessons that we've learned from him, we are so grateful for and we use to this day. And so we just have all of these generations of education. Both of my parents and also Wanda's mother went to Alabama A&M University. We'll talk about that a little more. Could we go to the next slide? We'd love to show you this neatly packaged video that was done by Wanda's brother, Dr. Wayne Stanley, who is a physician in the Florence area. And he was responsible for doing research and ensuring that our family legacy would be remembered through a historic marker, which is in Town Creek, Alabama. Now, Wanda, help me with the highway number. Some of you, if you're passing through Town Creek.
That's Highway 20.
Oh, thank you. Highway 20, just as you're coming from Decatur and you're going on down, like on your way to Florence. On the right side of the road, there's a First Baptist Church, which also my grandfather was the pastor of, helped to build the original structure. I think it's a different building now. And it's a place where his store used to stand. So let's roll the tape. That's Wanda's brother, if we can hear him. Let's see, sometimes these videos, I don't know if anybody else can hear the video. I
Now
cannot.
check the volume.
Check the volume? Okay. If not, I'll talk along. What he's showing there, if you look on the top right, that's the grocery store, the O.C. Stanley grocery store. And you can see on the newspaper headline there that it was being operated since 1921. On the far left, that is my grandfather and Wanda's grandfather, Reverend O.C. Stanley. And he too was self-educated. This is a close-up of his grocery store there in Town Creek, right where that historic marker is today. But you talk about the ultimate multi-skilled and also portfolio of companies. He had a gas station, a dry cleaners, a shoe shine parlor, a barber shop, as well as a snack shop. And he also had an Uber service where he could deliver your snacks to you, deliver your lunch to you on your break from picking cotton, which was one of the major industries, of course, here in Northern Alabama. He even ran deliveries because a lot of people didn't have cars in those days. Let's think about these times. You got to think about the historical context. We're talking about a person who was born in the early 1900s, if not late 1800s. By 21, he was a young man and operating a store. Now you look at the other pictures. Again, this is a zoom in. You can see on the cleaners. And of course, advertising was important. Coca-Cola was one of the products that he served.
Reverend Stanley was also a farmer.
Great. also a farmer. I heard one clip there.
And white and black people picking his cotton. I personally met a white lady who told me she picked cotton from Mr. Stanley, who wore a white shirt and overalls. And most important, Reverend Stanley was also a minister. He pastored Tri-Stone Baptist Church and Town Creek Baptist Church in Landersville. Mr. Stanley was also a philanthropist. He built the first Baptist church in Leeton, and then he gave it to the community. He's well known for wearing his big white hats as you see him in his car and you see one of his gas pumps. As you see in the article written by the Moulton Advertiser, he had operated the store since 1921. At the time this article was written, he had the oldest businesses in Town Creek. The state above, the Alpha Upsilon Omega chapter of AKA honored him with the Small Business Award named for Lawrence County. However, we are very proud that also the state of Alabama recognized the contributions of Reverend Stanley and erected a historical marker in his honor in Town Creek, Alabama. As you notice, this article is also written by the Moulton Advertiser. Thank you, AKA, for honoring Reverend O.C. Stanley with your small business.
Absolutely. So that was quite an honor. And I tell you, it is quite an extensive family. I also noticed on this call, two of my other first cousins from one of my dad's sister's side of the family. I see Arnetta Langham and I see Elsie Paulette Langham. Because the other thing we do is we stick together and we support each other. So I sent them a quick note and said, hey, we're going to be talking about the family business. Please tune in. And we're so happy that they did. Elsie is a retired Boeing accountant and analyst, and Arnetta also works in the government and government contractor realm in technical work. Next slide, please. The next video that we show, and I'm not sure if we're going to show the whole thing if the sound isn't better, because at least is a strain for me, but we'll see what you can hear. In 2019, Thornton Stanley Sr. was honored by the Associated General Contractors in the naming of Thornton Stanley to the AGC of Alabama Hall of Fame. This is a signal honor. 1 to 4 people are inducted annually. The whole family went down to Birmingham for this presentation, and the AGC did a series of interviews to gauge what the community, what the business community, and also what the family had to say about the man being inducted. Are you able to show this video?
Thornton Stanley established Stanley Landscaping and Construction Company in 1961 with 2 employees, 1 dump truck, and 1 backhoe. A native of Leeton, Alabama, he graduated magna cum laude at the age of 20 from Alabama A&M University in 1957 and has remained a loyal, generous, and committed alumnus. In May 2001, Thornton was declared the SBA Small Business Person of the Year and was presented with the award by President George W. Bush during a White House ceremony. Throughout his career, Thornton has proudly trained men and women to become skilled construction workers and supporters of their households and strive to be not only an employer, but also a counselor and mentor. Today, Thornton Stanley remains devoted to his wife, children, grandchildren, community, and church. Today, Stanley Construction Company Incorporated has grown to 50 employees and is one of the few remaining excavating and paving contractors in North Alabama under the original family management.
My first impression of Mr. Stanley was that he was very businesslike, serious, professional, and yet somewhere in the midst of all that, kind.
A few words that would describe Thornton would be honest and hardworking.
He's a person that is genuine. He's a good friend for everybody that he works around and works with. And he likes for you to be at your best. He claims that there were 3 girls in the race for him and that I outran the other girls. And that's how I got to marry him.
Mr. Stanley's best known for hard work, diligent, perseverance, getting up every day and getting it done.
Thornton was known in the business as somebody not the biggest, but definitely somebody that could hold his own.
He has always been a man who was more concerned about having a job so that other men could work.
Funny thing about Thornton was he has the fastest change order in the business. He carries the index cards in his pockets, pulls it out, he have you an answer in 2 seconds of what did it cost. He'll be working on it in 5 seconds.
What's the best advice Mr. Stanley's ever given me is probably do the right thing.
Whether it means getting up early or staying up late, finish the job, do what you need to do to finish the job.
Funniest memory of Thornton is approaching him on a job site only to realize that he was taking a nap, which come to find out something he does every day on a job site.
Like clockwork, around 12 o'clock every day, whether he was close to the house or under the closest oak tree, he would always pull over and take a 30-minute nap.
A few years ago, things were tough in the construction business, and yet Mr. Stanley always conducted himself in a very honest, very professional. He did what he said he would do, and he did it during the tough times as well as the good times, which is a mark of character. So high character to Mr. Stanley.
He was just not going to bid for jobs too far away from where he knew that he could not get back home at night to his family.
Coming from where he started a small landscaping company, it's impressive to see where his company is today.
We got to go to the White House to get the announcement, and President Bush called his name, and I think it was a yellow room, and he went up on stage, and that was a great moment, proud moment to see him do that.
President Bush seemed to have been very much elated to give him the award, and he announced that he was a good husband and a good father and a church man.
Another incredible moment was when President Bush actually came to Alabama for an economic summit. He called and asked my dad to introduce him in Birmingham.
In business today, everybody's looking for a shortcut. Everybody's looking for a way to make a dollar. I think Mr. Stanley has always done it right and with the highest integrity. And I think he has instilled that in his company and his family, and I think the industry as well.
He believed that we had to work together, we had to play together. And so we've been blessed to 3 of us work in the business now. And so I think that's his lasting legacy, that we can work and we haven't blown the company up yet.
If there was an autobiography of Mr. Stanley, the title would be A Life Lived Well.
I would like to tell Thornton that I am proud to know him as a friend, as a mentor. His accomplishments in the business are great, but I think more importantly, his accomplishments with his family and what they're continuing on today speak volumes to the man.
You deserve it. And I just want to make sure that you know that I'm very impressed with another award that you received.
I'm appreciative of everything that you've done for me, Dad. You taught me how to be a man. You taught me how to be a contractor. Thankful for the legacy that you left in the Huntsville community and the Alabama community. And think your grandchildren have something to build on.
It's been my honor and privilege to be associated with Thornton Stanley. I can't think of anybody who's more deserving of an award than Thornton. He's one of my favorite people from the first day I met him until today.
On behalf of our family, you know how proud we are of you. And every day you bring joy to our lives, and you've been just a wonderful partner. My life could not have been more pleasant. Every day I thank God that he sent and put us together.
Awesome. And that young lady is on the call with us, Mary Stanley, my mom. And she and my dad have been married 60 years this year. Everybody give a clap for that. Put that in your chat reaction there. Congratulations, Mom and Dad, on 60 years. They're listening again from the steering wheel of the armchair there. at their home. And I also want to say, let's go to our next slide, that partnerships are so important. We're going to be talking about the family supporting each other, and we're going to get into talking about some of our key clients, some of our industry associations. And as we move into that, we'll talk about, again, focusing on the legacy and on the foundation that has been laid by my dad, Thornton Stanley Sr., the middle son of O.C. Stanley, Reverend O.C. Stanley. So in these pictures here, you just see some highlights. That is a picture of some really old equipment. Over on the far left, I don't know if you can see it, but my dad's signature vehicle was a red El Camino. So I want to talk about branding, because we've been going with this Stanley diamond that you see behind my picture and behind Wanda's picture for almost 60 years. Very early on, he wanted to establish colors, a shape, something that when his trucks were rolling down the street, you would know that Stanley Construction was the one doing the job. And even today, we have a standard billboard that we put at the job sites. And we were really doing that before a lot of companies were automatically doing the, say, the banner on the fence of the job site. We had the Stanley sign, like a wooden billboard sign. And the other thing it does is it creates the perception that you're everywhere, because you put the sign up and people pass it on the way to work, they pass it on the way home, and then maybe you have another job across town and they're like, wow, Stanley's everywhere, but they've really passed the same 5 or 6 signs several times. So I want to say that branding is very, very important. We're very specific about our logo and our colors. You'll see some other slides there. The middle slide is actually my dad shaking President Bush's hand at UAB. That was probably the fall of 2001 or possibly early 2002. And as my brother said on the video, my dad was asked to introduce the president. And that was a really special honor, because it's one thing to go to the White House, see him once, but also to see that person larger than life and be a part of the whole presentation. Just what an honor, what an honor. So that's where hard work gets you. At some point you get recognized for your hard work. And we've been very, very fortunate at the recognition that we've gained. And all of that continues to reinforce the brand of hard work, community impact, and excellent projects. You see on the top right picture there, one of my brothers, Thornton Stanley Jr., talking to my dad as the bow-legged guy in the middle. And then on the bottom, you see a joint picture of my dad, the middle brother, Thornton Stanley Jr., and the youngest brother, Algernon Stanley. I do have a sister. Only one of our siblings is not in the business, and she's an attorney in New York City and having a great time there. Next slide. I want to just share with you a little bit about historical context, because again, we were asked to speak on winning against the odds. And so for any history buffs, if you think about the 50s going into the 60s in the state of Alabama, in the Deep South, you have the fight for integration, you have the fight for civil rights and the right to vote. So can you really imagine being a Black man starting a company in 1961 when the main news about Alabama is the bus boycott, the March on Washington? It's just a difficult time to be Black. It was a difficult time to be Black in Alabama, much less start a company. So that is the context. Those are the odds that my dad was against in the 60s. The springboard, though, that he had was first, again, but going back to education, Alabama A&M. And a shout out to the historically Black colleges and universities. And I hope that UAB will have many, many, many partnerships. You have HBCUs right there in Birmingham. Of course, A&M is here in Huntsville, as well as Oakwood University. So starting from that springboard in the historical context, in the HBCU, the wonderful thing about that kind of incubator education is you see signs of success all around yourself. You're taught to believe that you can go forth. You're part of the talented pool. You have to go back and help other people. Because again, in the 60s, and it was segregation, days of segregation, My father or my mother, or Wanda's parents could not have gone to UAB, could not have gone to the University of Alabama, could not have gone to a majority white school. Everything was segregated in that day. And yet people, Black people, made the best of what they had. And they said, I'm still going to do my best, do a good job, and hopefully people will give me a shot at building my business. So that was his attitude. Next slide. That was the historical context. So today, Stanley Construction, our key service is mass excavation. You see there an aerial view of a large job site. Many of you know that the Huntsville economy is really booming. We have the fortune of riding the federal engine of NASA and of Marshall Space Flight Center. There's a 4-star general command here, and that just comes with thousands and thousands of people to manage. Now a new FBI is coming, and it's not just government, it's commercial too. You probably know about the new Toyota Mazda plant that's going in. So the point of that is there's a lot of dirt being moved in Huntsville, Alabama. So another key to our success, in addition to having the education and foundation, having a strong brand and strong service to back up that brand, then number 3 is just get yourself in a good economic situation. Huntsville is a good economic situation. Hearing your talks of all of the UAB planning and facilities folks earlier on this call, Birmingham is a good economy. So I just want to encourage all of the contractors who are on this call to really look at your market and say, you know, where are the trends going? What are the jobs that I can bid on? It's important to locate yourself in a good economy, because otherwise you're always going uphill. But when you have the momentum of an economy, well, the way it is in Huntsville right now, there's more work than everyone can do. So we're able to bid jobs with a healthy profit because everybody's not scrambling around, you know, with razor thin margins just to get a job. So it really is a blessing to be in an economy like Huntsville, Alabama. And so in this economy, we do a lot of mass excavation. The biggest things we're doing now is turning former cotton fields, soybean fields, corn fields into subdivisions, because all of the new companies and the new government facilities are bringing tens of thousands of people to Huntsville. And sorry, Birmingham, we're now the largest city in Alabama, but that's just the way it is. Huntsville continues to grow, and Stanley Construction certainly benefits from that growth. So we're mainly horizontal contractors, as they say, civil construction. My brother Algernon has a professional engineer license, so we do assist with design of projects, but for the most part, we would be the site work contractor on the project. Next. We've spoken about mass excavation. Utilities comes along with that, sanitary sewer, electrical work, just anything that has to happen, the infrastructure to turn vacant land into something that is buildable. Next. Concrete and asphalt. Now, this is one thing, another key success factor I want to leave with you is you're riding a good economy and you have to understand your positioning in the industry. Your positioning in the industry is not just about you, it's also about your competitors. What are your strengths compared to what their strengths are? And are you the appropriate size to be a winner in your industry? Well, you have to look at your positioning. So actually in our 60 years, we have morphed about 3 times. When my father first started the business in the 60s, the focus was on landscaping. Why? Because it was a low barrier to entry. It was a low capital investment to have really, first of all, a wheelbarrow, and then maybe a borrowed truck and a tractor. So that's a low investment. We couldn't have jumped into mass excavation in year 1 because that, for one, in 1961, definitely no bank would have loaned a Black person enough money to have, you know, millions of dollars worth of excavation equipment. So the other thing is a key success factor I want to leave with you is just patience and the will to grow organically. Sometimes you just have to humble yourself and start small. When my dad first graduated from Alabama A&M with an agricultural degree, of course, he knew a lot about plants and horticulture. He had a love for the land. He had grown up on a farm. And so he used that core competency to start a landscaping company. But he knew in his heart of hearts that he wanted to be a road builder. He had worked for a road builder in Guntersville, Alabama for 2 years coming out of college. And, you know, just as some of the foremen in Stanley Construction, you know, when you see a leader, some people aren't going to be around forever. And, you know, my dad was not the type to be bitter about this. He's proud of the fact that he has spawned off at least 5 that I can think of other companies, one of which was another one of our first cousins, Grill and Crutch. He then started his own landscaping business after he had been a foreman for my dad for over a decade, because that's the way leaders are. When the box doesn't grow enough and when you see the headspace, there's not a lot of headroom, then you say, well, let me branch out on my own. You know, I can do this by myself, or I can get my own crew, and then I can, you know, participate in more of the profits myself as an entrepreneur compared to being an employee. So I say that to say that first we started in landscaping, but my dad's goal was to be a road builder, which meant that you would generally get into concrete and asphalt. And we did that for a number of years. So your company is growing and now you have a credit line. Okay, got to say that key success factor is keep your money in order. If you are the owner, keep your credit in order. They're going to be looking at you as being able to personally guarantee that loan for the company. I recommend you don't put your house against anything because you need a place to live, but you have to think about the rate of your growth compared to the cost of the expansion and how can you afford that cost? How fast can you actually go? Well, now, you know, we're living in the age of a lot of millennials and they want to dream up Facebook and be a billionaire in 5 years. Well, that's 1 in a million. The rest of us have to try to grow a company day by day and year by year, service line by service line. So Stanley Construction morphed from landscaping into concrete and asphalt. And then we looked at ourselves really in those early 2000s, and our positioning had become such that we were in the middle. We were too big anymore. At one point, we had 60 employees, I think, in 2001, and maybe over 60. We were too big to be a little company anymore with small overhead. Because when my dad was in the landscaping business, there was no office, there was no overhead, there was no rent, none of that. His office was a spare bedroom in our house. And I think if Elsie Langham is still on this call, she was one of the first bookkeepers. Her part-time job as being a student at A&M was to come over our house every Thursday and make out the payroll. And so, you know, you utilize part-time people, you know, you don't borrow up too much too fast, and then you try to grow a little at a time. So after we grew to that point, we had an office building, more equipment and so forth, but we didn't have an asphalt plant. So we really weren't big enough to challenge APAC at that time, Ashburn and Gray, Shelby, which is now Wiregrass. Some of you may know of them. So that's a huge difference in the game that we were playing, which was the placement, and then you're bidding against your suppliers. And that's just not a good situation. They're always going to give you a cost that you've got to add profit and overhead to. So then their cost is going to be better than yours on job for job. So then the job mix became critical. When we had jobs that were heavily earthwork, that's when we could win because we didn't have to pay the raw materials. And and we were able to attract more skilled employees, people who can run heavy equipment, have a little bit different mindset. They have a higher skill level than the person who's raking the asphalt. So we made a decision somewhere in there in the mid to late 2000s, we're going to have to get out of concrete and asphalt because we cannot compete with our suppliers. We don't want to get little again, but what is it that we're good at that we can get bigger at? And the answer was mass excavation. We do dirt. If you go to our website, you see all kinds of pictures like this with these 6x just showing a lot of dirt. That's what we do. We move dirt. So we've almost totally gotten out of concrete and asphalt, sold the spreader, sold the curb and gutter machine, and now we sub that portion out. Still, as a prime contractor in site work, we may be responsible for those functions, but hey, now we're giving our former suppliers, they're our subcontractor because they're putting down the asphalt on the project that we moved the dirt for. So partnerships, you can partner with your suppliers instead of, if you get to a point where you feel that you're competing with your suppliers, then it's time for you to look around. So that's what I want to say about the services that you decide to provide and how do you compare to your competition. Next slide. Site design and consulting. I already did mention that we have a licensed civil engineer on staff. Next. I've spoken about partnering, but I'll get specific now about the industry associations, which we are a part of. The Association of General Contractors has been a wonderful, wonderful networking tool for us. And so, Ms. Scott and all of your colleagues at UAB, I certainly applaud you for creating even this virtual space where contractors can come together and network. It's so important. You learn little things just in conversations in the hallway, or, it's a little difficult in these virtual times, but we really pray that we'll get back to the ability of in-person events where we can really network, fellowship, trade ideas, and brainstorm with each other and learn from each other. So within the Association of General Contractors, that is the purview of my brother Algernon, who is a civil engineer. He really talks their talk. He became the city president and then the state president. Now he's actually on the national board of the Association of General Contractors. And it just has been such an eye-opening experience and a broadening experience that he has been able to have to the benefit of the whole company. Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce, that was kind of my baby. A few years ago, before I went to New York for about 10 years, I was very active in the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce. These are the kind of connections where it's not the industry knowledge that you're there for. You're there to network and get friends in town. The people who I sat on the board with, when they had site work, they wanted to make sure they gave it to Stanley Construction. So this is what you do in your local industry, just overall business associations. Similar to the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club. How many people here in the Rotary Club? Give me a sign in the chat if you're in the Rotary Club. Somebody's got to help my mom mute because I hear my nieces coming over. It's after school time. If you hear some little girls, I know their voices. So at any rate, is anybody here in your local Chamber of Commerce? Just give me a thumbs up on your screen. Good. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. Your Rotary Club. And also there are affinity groups such as women's groups, the Women's Economic Development Council, or as we mentioned, Wanda had experience with the Women in Construction group. So part of your partnering is other business people around you. Next slide. Okay, and another part of your partnering really is your clients. When you start looking at jobs from a win-win situation, not just how much work can they get out of your company for the least amount of money, well, then that's when you start getting repeat clients. When you're delivering on your brand, when you're delivering high quality products and services every time, people call you back and you become the preferred provider. That's your goal, is to be the preferred provider. You want people to say, I need some dirt work done. Who am I going to call? Oh, those Stanley people, their signs are everywhere. They must be good. They do a lot of work. And so you want to have the type of reputation. And so we have my dad to thank for that, my brothers, Wanda, all of us who have been in the business. We are definitely sticklers for detail. We believe in quality. We believe in safety. We believe in productivity. You know, all of those things together, they lead to profitability. so that you can still be in business for those repeat clients. And we've listed some here. I'm sure you know them. Turner, some of these home builders you may not know, but again, subdivisions are huge in Huntsville. You all, I'm sure, know about Robbins and Morton, and as I said, Turner Construction. And so we have a nice construction ecosystem in Alabama. In fact, we've just about gotten to be too big for our britches, because I'm sure that we're all having trouble finding enough skilled employees. We could take on more work at Stanley Construction if we could have the larger employee base, but it is very difficult. I mean, across America right now, and not even only in construction. I mean, look at the restaurant business. They are really hurting. But at any rate, certainly you're partnering with your clients, and your ability to continue to do quality work is important. Your ability to attract good employees. Next. Growth strategies. We're just going to grow with Huntsville. So we were going to ride the Huntsville train. We like to promote from within, and we believe in education plus on-the-job training. Now, I have to say that a family business is one of the best training methods. We all know about apprenticeships, but when you, in the case of my brothers, when you ride in the truck with your dad every day after school, you're picking up things about the construction industry. That on-the-job training is just really invaluable. And I know that Wanda did that as well with her dad. And people probably thought, well, what's the little girl doing over here with the hammer and the nails and the wood? And so it shouldn't be just the boys. It should be, you know, bring your girls to work too. And the opportunity to prepare for your growth by apprenticing your own children or other young people that you have access to. That is called building your own employee base. Next. Okay, they wanted us to talk a little about giving back. It's just something that we do naturally at Stanley Construction. We are very devoted to Alabama A&M University. We have done projects there with, you know, intentional low bids down to almost cost plus zero, because we believe in the mission of the university. We've done work at Drake State Technical and Community College. And again, if we're doing the work, we're giving just the really, really generous pricing. But we also give to scholarship funds at these schools, as well as Oakwood University. There's so many community organizations we support: Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc. And of course, our church. We're all, at least at one time, have been members of Progressive Union Missionary Baptist Church, where my dad is a deacon emeritus, and where Wanda is the minister of youth. And she too has morphed. We talk about transitions. She first came into the church in the music ministry. And, you know, sometimes you just want to do something different. And next thing we knew, we had a wonderful, and I think it went from music maybe to theater, would you say, Wanda, to the performance ministry. And then seeing how much the youth loved that, and then how much they had a need to be engaged in positive activities, she just moved on over into the youth area of youth leadership. So we thank her for her contributions to Progressive Union Missionary Baptist Church. She probably gave me a job there. I think I played the piano for the male chorus when she was the music minister. So again, we all work together. Next slide. And planning for the future, what are we doing? We do try to implement new ideas. I remember when the first brother came back to the business after college, his first new contribution was, hey, Dad, we don't need to be writing these checks by hand. Let's get Peachtree. So he helped get an automated accounting system. When Wanda came, it was all about how can we elevate the estimating, because as my brother said on the video, my dad could do everything on a 3x5 card. I mean, he just could. He had a fast mind like that. He could calculate, and he pretty much was right most of the time. And I think with Wanda, and also as Al came in, they started using the AgTech software for estimating. And now they're using not job bill, but job cost. It's got a job in it, something. But you want to advance with the technology, whether that's your business technology. Of course, we're not on Peachtree anymore. We're too big for QuickBooks. We use Timberline, which then got bought out by Sage. Anybody here use Timberline? Excellent, excellent construction focused accounting software. That's kind of my wheelhouse, but you want to implement the new ideas. Another thing we try to do is we are getting more into the promotion on social media, but not so much, because as business to business, our biggest sales point is that we do a good job. The general contractors know who we are. The developers building new subdivisions know who we are. We don't really have to get out there on TikTok and do the Stanley dance, to do marketing. We don't do that. It's business to business. We try to keep it professional. You have to have a presence so people can find you if they need to. But we do some promotion, but not a lot on social media. Marketing is just always important. And again, sometimes your business and your work speaks for itself. That's another form of marketing. Then, of course, we do want to always leave a legacy for the future. I mean, we are looking ahead. As I said, my nephews know how to operate equipment, but none of us were, forced to come home. It was, there's a job here. If you want it, this is a growing business. We can make a space for you, so forth and so on. But we all each came at our own time of our own free will, knowing that there's so much opportunity when you can be in on the leadership team. And so for me, though, as a chemical engineer, I was very interested in utilizing those specific skills. And I worked for years in the chemicals industry, but at a certain point, you reach that glass ceiling. It's like, well, I have more to offer, but there's so many people ahead of you. And, how can I express my leadership? How can I move up? Well, you got to wait your turn in a huge corporation. Came home, and I think the same is true for Wanda and each of my brothers. We had a lot more responsibility at our age than our peers would have had, certainly in larger corporations. Next slide. So that is the end of our presentation, but I hope we have a little time for question and answers if you like. It's 4:45. I'm not sure how much more time we have in the event. But in closing, I just want to thank you all again for inviting us. I'll invite Wanda first if you want to add in or invite also questions. They can be for me or they can be for Wanda. And we want to wish you all the best as you grow your businesses, as you look for opportunities to do business with UAB. And we want to applaud UAB for creating a forum where businesses can network together to be stronger, to identify partnerships, and so that we can all take advantage of these economic engines that we are blessed to be a part of. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Wanda, and also Karen, for sharing your journey on Against the Odds. Building a brighter future, it was very encouraging. Now, if you will, please go to your reaction button and give them a round of applause at this moment.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for allowing me the opportunity to serve as your facilitator as we celebrate the 2021 Construction Connection Networking event. I will now turn the program over to Demetria Scott.
I'm still so excited. I mean, this is my first time meeting Karen and Wanda. And I'm just so elated to know the two of you. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful, impressive story about the legacy and history of Stanley Construction. So thank you all for sharing your family legacy, the future with us. It makes such a big difference when we have people like Karen and Wanda around to tell the story. And we appreciate the two of you taking time from your busy schedule to be with us this afternoon. And we want to just thank everyone. Just want to thank you for just being here. Thank you for taking time from your schedules to participate. A special thank you to all our presenters, Denton, Ron, Tona, Tamika, Susan, Ma, Melody, Robert, all the PDNC directors, Susan, Mark, and Lamar, Nitra, SBI staff, and Robert. Just thank you all. Thank you to our business participants, our general contractors, our architects, our suppliers, engineers, interior designers. Thank you for taking time and being with us today. I mean, it's just been so wonderful. I learned so much good information today, and hopefully some of our businesses here in Birmingham will look at ways to come up to Huntsville and partner with Stanley. So, hey, that's what it's all about, making those connections before you really need them. And a special thank you to Wanda again and to Karen. We appreciate it so very much. So as we come to the end of this program and to the end of this fiscal year, our new year starts October 1st. We hope you found our educational series to be inviting, instructive, and informative. It is our desire at UAB and our intent to eliminate any type of barriers or resistance to doing business with UAB, PDNC, or UAB Medicine. And we hope that we heighten your awareness as to our commitment to the process of being inclusive in doing business with UAB. So as you go about your business the rest of the day, we'd like for you to think about how you can become a partner with UAB. We have several opportunities that are coming up in the near future. I stated earlier, we're going to send out this PowerPoint presentation. Study the PowerPoint presentation. Get involved. Start those partnerships early. Start looking at ways that you can partner early. What do I need to do? Make those phone calls to us. We are here as a resource to the business partners. Thank you so very much. And at this time, I'm going to turn everything over to Denton for closing remarks. Denton.
I think you said it all, Demetrius. I'll echo what you said. I mean, I feel like we just received a really valuable instruction manual on how to build and grow a successful operation. So that was a real treat. Thank you, Karen and Wanda. That was excellent. And obviously, thank you to Small Business Inclusion for organizing another successful, collaborative, and informative event. It's not easy to organize all this stuff and to arrange the details and to execute it with no hiccups, but this SBI team really makes it look easy. So thank you, Demetria, Tamika, and Tony. And thank you to the UAB contributors, like Demetria said, our speakers at today's event. Your input and the information is valuable. It's useful to the contractors and consultants on this call that we want to work with here at UAB. And lastly, I would just say to the very accomplished speakers, Wanda Stanley Rice, Karen Stanley, for delivering an inspirational message to us today. Mrs. Stanley Rice, from field layout engineer to vice president, you've truly seen all aspects of construction. And I really like what Karen Stanley said. Education is critical. Obviously, at UAB, we agree with you. I also like what you said about winning against the odds. A third generation company is extremely impressive. 60 years. And starting a minority-owned business during a period of racial injustice, that is truly against the odds. Your success is inspiring. And after hearing you speak, it's not surprising. Your family's entrepreneurial. You obviously believe in hard work and education. And I'm confident that your family and your businesses will continue to succeed for many years and generations to come. We'd be honored to work with you guys at UAB and other companies like yours. So thank you for showing us how a company should be built and managed. I hope that everybody on the call today learned something and that you received some tips and valuable pointers. Karen really pointed out, gave a lot of insight on how to successfully build a company, to brand a company, how to adapt and creatively and methodically grow a business in a controlled and successful way and sustain a business with repeat customers, consistency, and quality service. So anyway, this was truly a delight to have you guys here with us today. Thank you again. Feel free to clap or use your reaction buttons to thank the Stanley family again for sharing with us and to thank SBI for a successful program. Thanks, everyone.